A Reuters special report has found that employees of Tesla, the largest electric vehicle maker in the world, privately shared sometimes highly invasive videos and images recorded by the car's cameras.
From his ambitious plans to colonize Mars to leading the EV revolution in the entire world, Elon Musk is undoubtedly the most controversial billionaire ever. There's always something going on, and after the massive Tesla video leak, things aren't looking too good for him. Join me as I tell you everything you need to know about his latest episode. Number 1, Tesla video. Quick disclaimer, guys. If you own a Tesla, you might want to tape up all your cameras. Or better, get rid of it. After this crazy incident at the Tesla HQ, Elon Musk is in some serious trouble with users ripping him apart for misusing their personal data. But what personal data am I talking about? Well, let me take you through things step by step so you know how big of a deal this is. Nearly every Tesla model out there is equipped with dozens of cameras to assist in driving. The company itself promises that these cameras are only there to make things better, and even vows to never invade privacy. In fact, Tesla swears its systems are designed to protect user privacy from the ground up. But ex-workers have landed Elon in some serious trouble after sharing how sensitive user images and even private videos were circulated in chat rooms. You heard that right. Imagine you're on the phone having a personal conversation with someone, or in your Tesla with Pookie. Everything is being recorded and might even have been circulated in company chat rooms. That includes names, phone numbers, and social security numbers as well. There was even a video of a child getting hit by a Tesla in a residential neighborhood after the car's autonomous system failed to respond. Elon and his boys tried their level best to prevent the video from getting out, but didn't bother keeping a check on it as it circulated across the entire company. But hold up, it gets worse. Even when the cars were switched off, the cameras were still recording, often showing the insides of garages along with other private belongings. So, what does Elon have to say about all? Absolutely nothing. The company has adopted a zero response policy as it refuses to comment on the pressing matter. A former Tesla employee shared a crazy statement mentioning how they could see users doing laundry, intimate things, and even their kids. I guess that's why some residential neighborhoods in China have banned Tesla vehicles. This really makes you wonder, has Elon dipped his feet in too much? You have Tesla, SpaceX, and the Boring Company literally digging up tunnels under entire cities. Perhaps this is more of a managerial issue since Musk isn't on top of things, focusing on too much all at the same time. The million-dollar question still stands though. What will this mean for Tesla? Are people going to opt out now? Well, despite some serious invasion in the lives of users, Tesla is still doing strong as its stock price continues to skyrocket, along with more units sold year on year. But for all Tesla users watching this video, I'm sure you're gonna be on the edge the next time you sit in your vehicle. Enough of the controversy though. Let's dive deep into Elon's different projects and how he plans to change the world. Number 2, a new home. Along with being the most controversial, I think we can all agree Elon is the most ambitious billionaire out there as well. His plans are out of this world. No, I mean it. His plans are literally out of this world. Believe it or not, Elon plans to send the first humans to Mars by 2030. And this isn't gonna be a two-way trip or something. No, sir. The first batch of humans will be the smartest minds in the world, setting out with just one mission in mind, to colonize Mars. And I know what you're thinking, right? Is Elon out of his mind? How does he plan to make Mars livable? Well, that's the next phase of the mission, and perhaps the one that makes him look so much like an evil billionaire. There's only one way to make Mars livable. The red planet has a ton of CO2 deposits frozen underneath the surface, and if you were to somehow warm up those deposits, Mars would become considerably warmer. A warmer planet means a livable planet, at least in the case of Mars. But do you think the world would give Elon permission to nuke Mars? Before that, does Elon even believe he needs permission? Well, whatever the case may be, there's no alternative yet, so it looks like he's sticking to that plan.
I do think getting good at digging tunnels could be really helpful for Mars. Building underground habitats with good radiation shielding, you could build a whole city underground if you wanted to. People would still want to go outside from time to time, but you can build a tremendous amount underground with the right boring technology on Mars. I do think there is a lot of overlap in that area.
And has anyone even bothered to talk about what happens if this plan doesn't work out? I mean, just imagine what would happen if the first batch of humans are unable to make any progress. And keeping in mind it's a one-way trip, What happens next? Are those people just going to be left to die on the red planet? And trust me, I know there's going to be all sorts of waivers that they'd have to sign, but it's still a pretty dark idea, you know? Hundreds of people dying deep in space with no one to rescue them and all that, because one billionaire wanted to make humans a multi-planetary species. I definitely don't blame Elon for aiming for stars, but even the smartest, or in this case, richest people in history can be wrong. And I sure hope Elon is on the right side of history, because if something were to go wrong, I don't know how people back on Earth would react. But speaking of his ambitious plans to take humans to the stars, don't even get me started about the technology. SpaceX's new Starship and heavy launcher, equipped with the latest Raptor engines, are just something else altogether. And honestly, if there was anything remotely close to taking us to Mars, it would have to be Elon's Starship. It's truly like something straight from the future. Let's talk more about it. Number 3, Starship and Super Heavy Launcher. Behold, ladies and gentlemen, the Starship, the strongest launch vehicle ever built to date, capable of taking humans to Mars and beyond. You heard that right, beyond as well. But for now, it's going to be used to transport the first batch of humans to Mars so they can begin their colonization efforts. Oh, and the spacecraft itself and the Super Heavy Launcher are referred to as the Starship together. Both of these engineering marvels combined stand tall at an astonishing height of 121 meters. That makes some of NASA's launch vehicles look tiny. And the best part about this impressive machinery is how it's reusable. Instead of having to spend millions or perhaps even billions of dollars to get to and from Mars, the same equipment will be used multiple times, completely revolutionizing space travel as we know it. If we're talking specifics, the Starship is capable of carrying 150 metric tons of reusable and 250 metric tons of expendable fuel. The spacecraft itself stands tall at 50 meters, with the best part being all of its different configuration. And what that basically means is, this craft isn't just built for traveling to Mars. Elon has dreamed of and developed perhaps the most perfect launch vehicle ever that can be used for a variety of different missions. But come on guys, this is SpaceX we're talking about. You know there's going to be a twist. This craft isn't just built for space. Believe it or not, it can actually be used as a point-to-point transport vehicle here on Earth as well. Forget about every jet or supersonic train in the world. This bad boy can take you anywhere in the world in 1 hour or less. Just imagine being able to visit several countries on the opposite side of the Earth all in one day. So, in a way, this craft isn't just revolutionizing space travel, it's also going to change how we travel on Earth. But what's even powering the Starship anywhere in the world in an hour or less? It's gotta be the chunkiest engine in the world, right? Well, not really. After perhaps the lengthiest trial and error process in history, Elon and the boys have finally perfected the Raptor engine. The Raptor engine is just 3.1 meters long, and when you consider how the entire Starship is 121 meters tall, it's impressive how such a tiny thing could shoot such a massive object in space. But don't get too carried away. It's not like there's just one engine powering the Starship. In fact, you'd need exactly 33 Raptor engines to get the Starship off the ground. If that isn't innovation, then I don't know what it is. And I get how the entire idea of sending humans to Mars is really spooky, but just look at how quickly Elon is transforming the world we live in. Colonizing Mars or not, who knows? Maybe we'll be traveling on a Starship in the next decade, covering thousands of miles in a matter of just an hour. Number 4, Neuralink. Imagine a world where your brain could communicate with a computer. You'd walk into a room and control pretty much anything with a computer without even uttering a word. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, guess what? It's a reality. Meet Neuralink.
Elon Musk's Neuralink N1 is a marvelous device that has many electrodes attached to an ultra-thin thread.
Elon Musk's brainchild, founded back in 2016. But what's actually happening? How is it possible for the human brain to communicate with a computer? The technology is called brain-machine interface, with the goal of merging the human mind with artificial intelligence. And to be fair, it's not like Elon is trying to hack your brain or anything, and nor is Neuralink some sort of a crazy control project. He actually just wants to make the world a better place by attempting to treat all sorts of neurological disorders like Parkinson's, epilepsy, and even spinal cord injuries. And if you're still not seeing the practical use case of this, allow me to explain. Imagine a person with paralysis. They're unable to control a computer or smartphone, but with a chip in their brain, they can do pretty much anything. But of course, I think it's important to address the elephant in the room. The idea of implanting a chip inside your brain is undeniably controversial. Is it even safe or ethical? And what about testing? I'm not sure if you know this, but Neuralink has been testing these chips on monkeys for quite some time now. I swear this sounds like the start of some sort of horror movie. And let's think for a second. What would happen if the chip somehow malfunctioned? Or worse, What if it got hacked? What could be the possible implication? And what about privacy? Could someone tap into your thoughts? Or what if they were able to control all of your devices? That would be a huge security and privacy breach. And considering how Tesla is literally under fire for seriously overstepping in the lives of their users, the last thing Elon needs at this point is another privacy issue. Oh, and did I tell you how it's actually going to be a robot implanting the chip? Yep. The procedure isn't going to be performed by a human or anything. A robot arm will perform the implant. The chip itself has threads thinner than human hair. The procedure itself is said to be completely painless. But with human trials still just a concept, the possibilities of all the things that can go wrong are endless. Also, what if this technology ends up becoming a luxury? Only the ultra-rich would have access to this technology, furthering the division between society. Plus, where do you draw the line? Are humans even ready to become half machines? I sure hope Elon has thought of all these things, because as ambitious as his plans may be, this is a slippery slope that could pretty much cancel him in every single way. Number 5, Solar City. Want to hear about another one of Elon's ambitious yet controversial projects? Solar City. Before I tell you all about Solar City, I think it's important to mention how this wasn't exactly Musk's project. It was founded by his cousins Lyndon and Peter Reeve back in 2006. But if I'm being honest, Elon did have some sort of a role in it. He put up all the money, allowing his cousins to take solar energy to the mainstream. Solar City dominated the market as it grew considerably in just a few years, becoming the largest solar installation company in the entire country. Believe it or not, they even introduced solar panel installation without any upfront costs, allowing consumers to switch to solar without having to break the bank. It was a move that completely skyrocketed them as they ventured into commercial installations as well. The initiative continued to grow as Solar City made several strategic mergers and acquisitions, but everything that goes up quickly must come down as well. And just like that, Solar City was in mounting debt as it struggled to meet investor expectation. If you ask me, I think that mainly happened because of the solar bond. Yep, solar bond. They got a bit too ahead of themselves and introduced solar bonds, allowing customers and investors to back their projects with a sizable chunk as a reward. Anyway, here's where Elon comes in. He led the merger of Solar City with Tesla, claiming how it would help him set up an entire vertically integrated energy company to power the growing demand for EV. But was that really the case? Remember how I told you Solar City was struggling financially? Well, a lot of Tesla investors blasted Musk, claiming all he did was bail out his cousins from a potential bankruptcy. When you think about it, that actually makes sense. I mean, what in the world would Elon want with a dying company? And don't get me wrong, I get the idea of a solar company under Tesla's sleeve to power production and their charging station, but just imagine all of the financial burdens that came along with Solar City. Anyway, Elon did try to turn things around by finally giving the company a new image and a new product to win over investors and the market. But if I'm being honest, if we're talking in terms of Elon's standards, the product was far from innovative or revolutionary. It was just a solar panel for your roof. In other words, a solar roof. Instead of having to install panels, you just get an entire roof-shaped panel that would look like a normal roof. Creative, sure. Revolutionary, or a product that would save a company? Nope. Fast forward to 2024, and there's very little going on with Solar City. We rarely hear about it, and that's because Elon never talks about it. I guess the investors and critics were right. Musk was just looking out for his cousin brothers as they nearly drowned millions of dollars worth of investor money. I wish everyone had a cousin like Elon. Number 6, Hyperloop. I swear, the more I talk about his projects, the more I feel like I'm talking about some sort of a futuristic story. I mean, ask yourself this. When was the last time you traveled almost 700 miles per hour in an airplane, right? Well, what if I told you you could travel as fast as a plane in a tiny pod inside a pressure tube? That sounds outrageous, I bet. That's what happens when Elon dreams, and this dream of his is called Hyperloop. He first came up with Hyperloop in 2013, declaring it as a faster, more efficient, more sustainable method of traveling.
Did you ever stick your hand out a window when you're driving in a car? Imagine if there's really no air there. You really wouldn't feel that force pushing back your hand. And the same thing can be said for a Hyperloop.
And while he simmered down with most of his plans, trust me, that wasn't initially the case. My guy wanted to dig a tunnel straight through Earth and shoot humans from one end to the other. I bet now it's starting to sound more like Elon. But how did he even come up with something like the Hyperloop? It all happened after the eccentric billionaire grew increasingly frustrated with California's high-speed rail project. And knowing Elon, it's no secret that he's super harsh when it comes to criticism. He pretty much took on everyone backing the project, stating they had absolutely no idea how they were spending millions of dollars on an inefficient transportation system, which, by the way, is incredibly slow. I mean, if there's anyone who can say all that, it has to be Musk. Anyway, you really got to understand how much this must have bothered Elon that he literally decided to make his own transportation system. And not just any transportation, a system that can match the speeds of a commercial jet. That's crazy on a whole different level. Let me put this into perspective for you. Let's take a trip. Say, Los Angeles to San Francisco. That would take how long? About 6 hours by road, and around 3 hours by plane if we include all the traveling as well. Well, with the Hyperloop, a trip to San Francisco from Los Angeles would just be 30 minutes. It'll be a greener option as Elon plans to place solar panels on the top of the pods, charging it as it goes. But hold up, didn't Elon want something sustainable and not as costly? Because from what I've heard so far, this system seems incredibly hard and expensive to build. And that's not me saying it. Experts from all over the world claim Hyperloop will never make it out of the conceptualization stage, since the technology to make something like this cheap and sustainable still doesn't exist. But considering how Elon is behind the wheel, I think we might be seeing Hyperloop a lot sooner than we think. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's gearing up to shoot humans to Mars in the next decade. What's a Hyperloop to this billionaire genius? It's definitely a bold step, but several companies are currently working on the project, with some of them in the testing phase. Number 7, Twitter antic. Don't even get me started about Elon's Twitter tactics. From some of the most controversial tweets ever, to eventually buying out the platform, his journey on the social media platform has been one of a kind. But when it comes to crazy tweets, I think nothing tops the tweet that cost him a whopping $20 million. It even led to him stepping down as the chairman of Tesla. I bet most of you already know what I'm talking about. In case you don't, let me fill you in. Elon once tweeted how he was about to take the price of Tesla's share to $420 and claimed to have even secured the funding to do so. Sorry if I don't know any better, but isn't that market manipulation right there? Anyway, a lot of investors were shocked by the tweet after realizing how their investment was in the hand of a supposed lunatic who could manipulate the price at any given point. It eventually led to an SEC proceeding, which resulted in Elon getting fined $20 million. That has to be the most expensive tweet in the history of the platform. Number 8, COVID-19 comments. COVID got to a lot of us, and I think even Elon lost his mind after having to stay home all day for several months. It all started after he called the panic dumb, even going as far as claiming how the US would have no new cases after April 2020. Well, that sure didn't age well, did it? But it didn't stop there.
Elon Musk says that he's tested positive for the coronavirus. Tesla's billionaire CEO tweeted that he's experiencing symptoms of a, quote, typical cold. Nothing unusual so far. Musk was skeptical of the testing process. He noted in those tweets that of the 4 tests using the same machine,
it looks like the lockdown really got to him, called the government fascist for imposing such strict policy procedure. But what was his deal? Well, what if I told you it had to do with his factory? Don't know what I'm talking about? It happened back in 2020 after Elon reopened one of his factories, threatening workers to return or lose their job. Times were tough, and out of desperation, workers ended up returning to the factory. I think we all know what happened next. In just a matter of 6 months, nearly 500 workers at the factory reported having COVID. Not only was it a bad look for Tesla, but it also painted Elon in this weird light, almost like an evil billionaire capitalist who just didn't care about his employee. Number 9, the pedo guy incident. Remember the pedo guy incident? When Elon hopped on Twitter and called British cave diver Vernon Unsworth a pedo? It all started after the Thai boys' soccer team got trapped in a flooded cave. The incident went global, as nearly everyone was glued to their screens, praying these poor boys would make it out alive. Many influential minds came up with creative ideas to get the team out of there, with Elon Musk proposing a plan of his own. SpaceX had a mini submersible in its arsenal, and Musk wanted the divers and engineers to use that to assist in the rescue. And that's when Vernon stepped in. He immediately shut down the idea, claiming it was just a waste of time, as Elon was simply pulling off a publicity stunt. I guess that really stung the billionaire hard, as he publicly labeled Vernon as a pedo on his Twitter account. For obvious reasons, the British diver did not take that well and ended up filing a defamation suit against him. I want you to take a second and guess who won that case. The logical answer is Vernon, right? Nope. Despite calling him a pedo on the internet, Elon walked away as the victor after stating how pedo was a really common insult in South Africa. Damn. If there's anyone who could walk out of a lawsuit like that, it has to be number 10. Environmentally friendly or what? You knew this one was coming. Nowadays, this is probably what Elon gets grilled for most. Wasn't SpaceX and Tesla supposed to be environmentally friendly and sustainable? I mean, the whole point of building a rocket that can be used over and over again is to generate less emission. Same with electric vehicles. The whole point is to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels so we can shift to a greener future. And that's pretty much the narrative Elon has been pushing for the longest time now. But what if I told you there's something else at play here? Sure, SpaceX doesn't have to build a new rocket every single time, but they're also frequently launching stuff, damaging entire ecosystem, along with some serious carbon emission. Just go check out what's going on in Boca Chica, Texas. The development of the Starship has left the entire ecosystem in shambles as SpaceX performs several tests every single month. Same with the electric vehicle. Just the process of mining and refining the raw materials to make the batteries creates so much greenhouse gas, not to mention the harm done to local community. Heck, there was even a study done by Emission Analytics back in 2022 that showed how EVs release more toxic particles than gas-powered cars. So, when Elon champions his companies as being sustainable, isn't it all just a lie? And that's not an opinion, folks. That's what his biggest critics have to say about him. Because if you take a step back from all the ambitious plan, you'll see how most of his projects are possibly doing more harm than good, all while making him a ton of money in the process. Maybe that's why he's grilled for using all of that as a cover to continue profiteering from everything. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. So, what do you think? Did you know Tesla was this deep into invading people's privacy? And do you think Elon is just like every other ordinary billionaire cashing in on the next fad? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.